it's Jackie from Nerd Family and Homeschool Hangout, and today we are talking California and charter schools. This is something as a homeschool blogger I get asked about all the time. If you like these kind of informative videos on homeschooling systems, do me a favor before we get into it. Give this a thumbs up and please subscribe. You can even hit the little bell next to the subscribe button to be alerted every time that I upload. Okay, so charter schools in California. When people start talking about homeschooling, this is often well, tell me about charter schools. Let's talk about what charter schools are first. A charter school is not a homeschool. And when I say that, homeschool is not a legal definition, but not all charter schools allow you to school at home. There are traditional charter schools. There are charter schools that meet a few times a week. There are a variety of different forms and factors of charter schools. So just because you hear of a charter school does not mean that you are going to be able to school your children at home. Okay, number two, a charter school is a public school. There's not much else you can say to qualify that. How it works is they write a special charter that lays out some specifics about their school that may be different than a traditional public school. But then they submit it to the Department of Education and a local school district, and they are a public school. The reason that some charter schools that do in homeschool form can give you money to spend on curriculum and lessons and other things is because that is part of the money they are getting from the state of California for your student. Which brings us to the next point, testing. While every charter school will tell you you can opt out of testing, and that is true, you can opt out of testing in a traditional public school. It is still a part of that charter school, part of how they qualify for more money, part of how they do different things. They still have a standardized testing period. Even if you can opt your student out, it is still part of it. And that brings us to the next thing. Because a charter school is a public school, they have testing. They also have rules about what kinds of curriculum you are allowed to use, even if you're attending a charter school that gives you curriculum choice. You are not going to be able to pay for religious material, or they can't order it for you however yours is structured. And there are certain rules and guidelines that are going to govern how you school as a charter schooler versus how I school as a private homeschooler that are going to be different. What those are often changes charter by charter, but there are some base things that they negotiate out with the state. Of course, we all have to keep roll, but for them, absences are going to be looked at a little bit more differently. You also often have certain times a year you have to do school, meaning I school through the summer, and that counts towards my overall days of school a year. Most charter schools have a traditional school year or some sort of negotiated out time. You also have to often turn in samples, and what those samples are required to be is different school by school. But the other thing in all this to remember is because you are a public school, if the state changes their rules, it will change your schooling and your life. You do need to be prepared for that. Sometimes you can get classes offered through the school. You usually meet with a teacher every so often who can help your student, or just make sure that you are keeping your child on track if you are using a homeschool charter school. The other thing is how you interact with the rest of the homeschooling community. Now, before we go too far, all of you traditional homeschoolers who may or may not be watching this, homeschool is not a legal term. We do not own it as private independent homeschoolers. We are adapting that. You either put your child in school or you don't put your child in school and you do something else. But there are many organizations, and here in Fresno we have an organization called CHEFA that it is only for private homeschoolers. If your child's enrolled in a private school, like a private Catholic school, or if you are chartering, your child is not welcome to participate in our activities. And part of that is the fact that many private homeschooling organizations who have won been here since before charter schools have existed and have wanted to protect themselves. Part of the fear is when you bring a public school, charter school kid into an organization, at what point is the state going to feel that they have some right to determine how that child spends their time, or to check out the organization they're involved with as part of their extracurriculars? So for that reason and a lot of others, including the fact that many homeschool groups are considered nonprofit, they are not open to charter school students. There are some groups, and one of which I'm on the board of directors, like Inspire One here in Fresno. We do fine arts education and we cross cultural boundaries through that. So like we have an orchestra on one part of town and we have a homeschool orchestra and all those kids come together and do things. We don't care if you're a charter student. But that said, there are many people like us who say, we are a Christian organization, which means unless we are going into the public school, which we have an orchestra that does, we are going to be praying in our choirs. We are going to be talking about God in our choirs. We are going to be encouraging our students to follow the Lord, which means we will never be able to accept your charter money. You can privately pay to have your children come join us, and we hope you do. But whereas charter school may cover piano lessons, they will not cover anything like this because we will not commit to being public school approved. I guess that's the best way to put it. There are a lot of independent teachers who are, and I wish them no ill will, but there are also organizations who will look at you when you say, I homeschool. I want my homeschool kid to be in your homeschool activity. Can I pay for them to be in it? Why aren't you taking my state money? Who say, I'm sorry, that is just not how we define ourselves. So all that said, there's a lot of controversy, a lot of different issues out there about what a charter school is when it comes to homeschooling and how it interacts with the rest of the homeschool environment. I have a lot of friends who have their children through a variety of independent charter schools that allow you to educate your child at home. But it is a different environment in some ways. In many other ways, there's nothing different. We have a homeschool robotics team that half the team is charter schooled, but we don't accept any charter money to cover that expense. And sometimes that can be quite hard for people who, that's the primary reason that they're chartering, is just so that the state can cover what they want to do with their kids. I don't know that I've done a great job explaining all that. So if I have left you wondering something, if you have any questions, if you think I'm wrong about something, please let me know in the comments. Share this video with somebody who might be considering charter homeschooling, and let me know what you guys think. I'll see you later. Bye.